All right, we're going a little bit rapid fire with the videos here because I have the time and there is news to cover. And next up on the docket is a new Final Fantasy game that is not Final Fantasy 16, that is not Final Fantasy 7 Remake, that is not Final Fantasy X-3, that is not Final Fantasy 6 HD 2D Remake, okay? We were talking about this on my stream, and those were my two guesses when this rumor first came out. We didn't know a whole lot about it. Was 10-3 and 6 HD 2D Remake. But it is now being reported, and I have this article from Polygon, and I think it's probably the best article and has a bit more to talk about than just this one that I have here from Rock, Paper, Shotgun. I've never heard of them, but I don't know. I was reading through it. But apparently, we have Team Ninja, all right? They are the guys that worked on Neo 1 and 2, and they did some work on Dissidia NT, and, we know how that went. But they are making a Final Fantasy Souls-like action game, and it is apparently going to be called Final Fantasy Origin. And this has a lot of people speculating, okay, well, they had Final Fantasy Origin on the PS1, right? That was the first game and the second game kind of compiled together. I don't know if it's going to follow that vein or if it's just they're going with this title and it's going to follow kind of the first story, quote unquote, right? Because there wasn't much story in Final Fantasy 1. But I think that that's pretty good when you're looking at how Souls games are structured. There's not a whole lot of story going on. It's a lot of just going through the levels and fighting and all this stuff with little bits of story baked in there for you to try and figure out, but you never really figure it out. But this is very cool. Okay, so let's get into it. Neo and Ninja Gaiden developer Team Ninja is developing a new Final Fantasy spin-off action game for Square Enix, according to a report from Fanbyte. That game, reportedly titled Final Fantasy Origin, is expected to be announced at E3, and this is supposed to be one of their big reveals that they're going to show at E3. So, rumors kind of suck because now we know that this is coming, and it's not going to be one of those things that we can get super hyped for at E3, aside from the fact that we haven't seen anything from it. But just the fact that we know kind of takes away a little bit. This is the love-hate thing that I have with E3, right? I love E3 because there's so much going on with the video game world, so much news coming out. But it's gotten to a point with the internet where so much stuff leaks beforehand or they announce it beforehand. It takes away from the overall experience of that weekend. But either way, we can still get excited. Regarding Final Fantasy Origin, which has been compared to From Software's Dark Souls series, right? And then Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order is an interesting one too, because that was I didn't think that was too much like Souls. I thought it was more just an action RPG type game. So maybe if they strike a balance between Souls, Neo, Jedi Fallen Order, it'll be, like they're saying here, more accessible for a wider audience. Myself, not very good at video games, okay? I love them to death, but I'm not very good, especially when it comes to something like a Souls game. I could not even get past the first level in, Dark Souls 3 I think I played one time. That stuff is crazy. Motorcycle just went by. Now, this is interesting. I don't know if this is confirmed yet. I don't know. But they say it here in this article. Set during the events of the first game in the franchise, right? I don't think that that's confirmed. I think that they are just going off of that based on the name Origin, and I think when this rumor came out and more information came out, people kind of took that and ran with it. Granted, I think that would be a good thing to do. I think it'd be very cool for them to have kind of a Final Fantasy 1 remake in this vein, but I don't know if that's 100% true. So take that as you will. It could be just a total Origins for Final Fantasy, but we will have to see in the coming weeks. Now they talk about a playable demo, and it's got a weird name. Did they put the name in here? I think it's in this one. Placeholder. Here it is. An alpha demo may arrive in the summer too, with the title Stranger in Paradise. I don't know. Why is it called that? Who knows? Hopefully we find out. Hopefully it actually holds some meaning, because just the vagueness of that, coupled with the vagueness of the game, is really cool. And I hope that they kind of tie it in and it makes sense when we see the game. Okay, I understand why it's a stranger in paradise. They go on to say, by paradise, they mean a demon-infested hellscape that needs to be purged with steel, magic, and chocobos. Yeah, okay. So, another thing to note. I know the Neo games did pretty well. People love Ninja Gaiden. Dissidia NT, that kind of flopped, right? What did they have, like the service up for a couple of years, 2 years, and then they just kind of shut it down because nobody was playing, and it wasn't a very well put together game. So that's interesting. And then we also have to look at how Square Enix deals with outsourcing things like Final Fantasy, and we don't have to look far. Just looking at Final Fantasy VII Remake, right? They outsourced that to CyberConnect 2, and then they were like, hey, you're messing this up, so stop. And they scrapped it all, took it in, did it themselves. They're like, we're gonna do this. So hopefully Square Enix has a little bit more faith in Team Ninja to pull this off and really represent the Final Fantasy name the way that they want, and we don't have a situation like we had with Final Fantasy VII Remake. We were kind of moving away from the whole early announcement, delay, release date, flop game. We're kind of moving a little bit in the right direction, and hopefully this will stick to that path. And we're going to see if they're going to release an alpha demo. Obviously, that would mean that they have shit done, right? Like, it's not going to be a total mess, hopefully. But so there is a little bit of concern with that, just because it's not Square Enix themselves. But some people might be, yes, don't let Square Enix do it. I know there's a lot of fans out there, haters, that think that Square Enix doesn't know what they're doing. But I have resolved myself to have a little bit more faith in them in recent months with what they've done with 7 Remake, with Final Fantasy 16. Even I talked about earlier with Dragon Quest 12. I think that they are doing the right things, moving in the right direction. And this will be interesting. Very interesting. Again, action game. It seems like everything's kind of moving towards that vein. If you want to play regular JRPGs, Persona's right there. All right? Persona's wonderful. I know we're talking about Final Fantasy, but I can gush about Persona all day. Persona 5, Royal. Woo! All right, but I'm getting into a bit of rambling here. That's it. That's all we know. Team Ninja, Final Fantasy Origins, Souls-like action game. Demo, and E3. Not a lot, right? So that's kind of why I wanted to hold off on reporting on this, just because I was hoping to see a little bit more information come out. And I'm glad I did, because if I would have made a video right when it started, right when the rumor came out, and I would have been here saying, oh, 10-3, 6 remake, and then this came out, it would have been like, well, that video aged poorly. But this is what we got, and I hope this is where it stops, to be honest, because I want to be pleasantly surprised when E3 rolls around and we see this on the big screen, or our small computer screens, if you will. All right, that's going to do it for this one. I'm scrolling all over. Articles will be down in the description. Take a read yourself. Let me know what you guys think. Are you excited for more action games from Square Enix? Are you just excited for more Final Fantasy? Do you wish this would have been something like a 6 remake or 10-3? I don't know. I don't really know. I'm cool with it. More video games is where we should be going, and I think that now that this whole thing that's been going on is kind of winding down, and we're getting back to a little bit of what we can do best, we can start to really appreciate and see what these video game companies have been working on the past, what we can say almost 2 years now, because last year was a bit of a wash. yeah, that's all I got to say. I don't know what else. All right, I'll see you guys in the next one.